Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. Now, this is the second day of William Samoei Ruto's tour in China. After that invitation by Xi Jinping. Now today, Ruto chose to meet Kenyans living in China, and he had some session with them. It's just akin to what he did when he went to US for the US state visit.
To an extent, even Kenyans are going to Uganda to buy goods and come sell back to China, meaning that the trading in Kenya is suffocating. We are suffocating.
Now in this visit, ladies and gentlemen, Ruto was confronted with the issue of taxation. In fact, Kenyans living in China delivered the message the way it's supposed to be delivered. And Ruto was reminded that businesses are going to Tanzania, investing in Uganda, simply because of the overtaxation that is in Kenya. He was also confronted with the reality that exports or other imports within Kenya are close to impossible because of the taxation. So people choose Tanzania, they choose Uganda because it's a bit low. So I want to take you through a response that Ruto gave. Personally, I was not convinced with the response, but I just wanted to share. I want to share that response with you, ladies and gentlemen, so that you get to understand how William Ruto dodged that question. But first of all, before you get to that video, please support this channel by liking this video and also subscribe to this channel if you are not subscribed before. And to our existing subscribers, I want to continue thanking you so much, because without you, this channel wouldn't have grown. So I want to first of all take you through the video where this Kenyan is confronting William Samoei Ruto with the reality on the ground. And this is about taxation. And this is what he told William Ruto.
The second aspect that we're going to have a look at are the revenue, the tax value. Majority of our business people are losing due to the shift in the East African bloc. The focus now is running to Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda. To an extent, even Kenyans are going to Uganda to buy goods and come sell back to China, meaning that the trading in Kenya is suffocating. We are suffocating. Therefore, we request that you look at the value. Just review kidogo. From 18% at some point, songesha hata 12%. From 25 hapo, cheza na hiyo maneno, wewe unajua hii maneno. Tutafanya biashara tukiwa watu wengi sana. Na jambo la muhimu sana ninapomalizia nikipatiana hii microphone because
Very well, ladies and gentlemen. From that question, we all agree with that Kenyan living in China, that it's true that there's a time Mama Suluhu, the president of Tanzania, acknowledged that there is problem in Kenya, and that was the reason why industries were being set up in Uganda and set up in Tanzania. There's a time also Museveni made a pronouncement bordering the same statements that came from his Tanzanian counterpart. Now, Ruto was taken to task to explain why. Why is it that industries are being set up in Tanzania and Uganda, whereas Kenya is losing? Because when a company closes down in Kenya and goes and sets up its base in Uganda, one thing that we lose on is revenue. The second thing, unemployment rate becomes high, because now there are people who are employed in these companies. Now, when these companies close down and they move to Uganda, one of the things that Museveni will insist on is that employment must come from the people of Uganda. That company might import expertise, but very few people will be imported to serve in those companies. But majority of the casual laborers, just the normal workers, will come from that country where that company is residing. You can't, it's just like a Chinese company sets up a company, a Chinese investor sets a company in Kenya, and then decide to employ only Chinese. Of course, there's going to be some problem. that company will first of all be forced to employ the locals. Then they can actually, and the management top hierarchy, they can now employ Chinese to, to supervise things. Lakini, even the locals will be employed. So I want to take you through a reaction from William Ruto, because there's a way Ruto reacted here, and I want us to go through the reaction. But first of all, just watch this video.
Yes. Thank you very much, David. But on matters to do with what you're saying, let me just explain to you why sometimes people find it easy to go to Uganda or Tanzania for purposes of getting goods and services to this country. It is exactly the problem I want to solve by signing the bilateral labor agreement. You know, the difference between us and our neighbors is that Kenya is in the middle income category. Our neighbors, Tanzania, Uganda, and all the other neighbors are in the least developed countries. They are in LCDs, LDCs, and we are in the other. So we are categorized higher than them, and therefore, while they export duty-free, Kenya exports with duty. And that is why you heard me say that is the agreement we want to negotiate. We want to negotiate a preferential trade agreement that will now put Kenya at par with our neighbors. You will not be experiencing the problems you are experiencing today. That is the agreement we want to sign.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is what William Ruto said is the reason why companies are set up in Tanzania, Uganda, is the main reason why Kenyans are running, investors are running from Kenya. Now, based on your own understanding, you see, and since you've been following the challenges that Kenyans are faced with, matters taxation, do you believe that that's the main reason why companies are being set up in Tanzania and Uganda and not Kenya? The bilateral agreement that is going to be signed there, will it solve that problem? Because Ruto talks about a bilateral agreement to be signed, one that is going to sort this issue of, import duties, export duties, that because Tanzania and Uganda belong to the least developed countries, that category, there are some taxations ambazo haziendi kwao. But because Kenya belongs to the middle income countries, then they are being subjected to some particular duties. So do you think that bilateral agreement is going to solve this problem? I want to just drop your reaction below in the comment section regarding that response from William Samoei Ruto, because I personally, maybe if it's going to solve well, but I look at the response and I can tell that he was trying to be smart and running away from that question, but he did it to the best of his ability. I think Ruto dodged that question. I don't know how many of you believe that that is the case, but personally I think alitoroka hiyo swali, because issue hapa ni kwamba nchi nyingi zinaenda Tanzania, kampuni nyingi zinaenda Tanzania, kampuni nyingi zinaenda Uganda. So this bilateral agreement, is it going to solve this problem to prevent companies from closing down and setting up bases in other East African countries? I think the issue here ni ile taxation tu. Tax ndiko juu. They feel kwamba kazi yao ni kulipa ushuru tu. I think that is the main reason why most of these companies are closing down, going to these other neighbor countries to set up their bases there. So I hope you're going to react regarding the response from Ruto. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.